All right, everyone. So now we're going to get into some hands-on stuff, and I'm going to show you how to create users, new users in your on your new servers. So I'm using the same server from last week, and what I'm going to do is log into that server. So right now I'm just on my local machine, and I'm going to SSH into our server, or to my server. Now remember, if you're on Windows and using PuTTY, you will not see this prompt. You will not have to use the SSH command. You simply enter root as the username and your IP address as the IP address and move forward from there. Once you're into the web server shell, your behavior and your commands will be the same as mine. So let me just get logged in here. There we are. So we'll just clear that out. Okay, so now I'm on the server, and you can tell that because my username is changed to root, and my server is hello world instead of the LoudPixel machine. So right now we are in our home directory, and there isn't anything in here. So, and this is the root home directory, so that doesn't really matter. In fact, we're going to create a new user anyway, so we don't really need to have to worry about that. But I do want to kind of briefly reiterate the commands, some of the commands that we went over last week. So we'll remember our ls command, and ls with the flag -al will give us the full listing, including hidden files. So all these files and folders with the dot in front of them are technically hidden, meaning using the standard ls command, they're not going to show up. So anytime you check a folder, you want to check it with the LSAL to make sure that there is in fact, to see if it is in fact empty and not just not showing you the hidden files. So from our lecture slides, we know that we can issue the add user command to create a new user account on this computer or on this server. So we're going to go add user Jeff S, and we're going to see what happens. So let's go through each step here before we continue on with the prompt. So we have right here, add user Jeff S. So it's adding this user to the system. It's creating a new group called Jeff S. And it's adding a new user called Jeff S. and adding me to that group. So we've got a new group, a new user. It's also created a home directory in /home/Jeff S. And it's copying these files from etc/skell. And what that is a skeleton file that essentially sets up the default parameters of our user. So now the system is asking me to enter a new Unix password. And so we can just select a secure password. So I'm going to type in a secure password. Now it's not going to show anything, no asterisks or nothing. It's just going to pretend like you didn't enter anything into the terminal. Trust me, you did. Go ahead and hit enter, and then it's going to ask you to retype that password to make sure it matches. So if everything goes okay, you'll see PASSWD, password updated successfully, changing the user information for Jeff S. So what this add user is really doing is it's kind of going through and executing a series of commands. It's creating a home directory. It's creating a new user. It's creating a new group. It's using the PASSWD command to update and change our password, and then it's saving the account. At this point, it will ask you to enter a full name and a bunch of other details. I typically don't enter this information. You can if you want to, but it's easy enough just to hit enter through all of it. And then when it comes to is the information correct, you just want to type Y for yes and hit enter. So now our home directory should be added. So we can verify this, or a user should be added. We can verify this by double checking the home directory. So we should be able to go to /home/Jeff S. And we are logged in, and we're able to cd into that directory because we're root, and we can see that it did create it. So the next thing we want to do to double check everything is to log out of the root user and then log in as Jeff S. So we can reissue the SSH command, but instead of root, we're going to be Jeff S. And again, if you're in PuTTY, the username will be that new username you just created. And let's hit enter. All right, so now we should be able to type our password and type our correct password. There we go. And now we're logged in as Jeff S. And if we do LSAL, you'll see that we are in our own home directory. And you can see if we want to go to the root directory, we still can, but we can't do anything in here. So if I wanted to make a directory, I couldn't do that. If I wanted to make a new file, I couldn't do that either. Now, if I go back into my home directory, and remember, we can quickly go into our home directory by typing cd tilde, and that'll take us back to our home directory. Let's list all again. Whoops. There we go. And now you'll see, because I own this directory, I can create files. I can use the touch command to create an empty file. So let's create an empty text file. There it is. You can see test.txt there. I can also use the mkdir command to create a new folder. And now you can see that, man, I always mistype that if I type it too fast. So now you can see I have a folder directory there. And now we can change directories into folder. And we can create a new file in there if we like. There we go. So now another quick trick. So we're inside, as you can see, our home directory folders. So we're in home / this basically stands for home / Jeff S / folder. So if I want to quickly get back to the folder, the parent directory, I can just type cd space ... and then it'll take me back into my home directory. And if I do that again, cd ... you'll see that now I'm in the root of home, and you can see other home directories right there, other users. So this jciardo being another test user I created before this lesson. So let's get back into our home directory. And again, we don't have to do that. We could just type cd tilde, and we'd get back in there. So this is basically how you create an unprivileged user. Now, this user can't really do anything but kind of muck around in its own home directory. I can't install software, so if I tried to go apt-get install, let's see here, git, or let's see, I think it's git core. You'll see that it says permission denied. I can't install anything. I can't even do an apt-get update. I can't even do a sudo apt-get update. So right there, I tried to authenticate as the root, and it's telling me Jeff S is not in the sudoers file. This incident will be reported. We're going to talk about that in a few videos about how we make that work. So essentially, all we've done in this video is create a new unprivileged user. And typically, after you've set up your server, meaning you've updated things, you've installed all the software you needed to initially, we would then come in and create a new user, and we would only access the server this way. In fact, once we get further along into the semester, you'll be creating new users, and then you will be disabling the root user, so you'll be unable to log in via the root user. And that's a security measure. The root user doesn't ask you if you're sure you want to delete a file, and you could essentially self-destruct the server by being in as a privileged root user. So we try to avoid kind of giving ourselves that much power to mistakenly cause problems with. So in the next lesson, we're going to move on from here, and we're going to add and modify permissions on this user, and we're also going to add it to the sudoers file or to the wheel group so that we can then install software from this unprivileged user using sudo, which is a temporary authorization to use the root account. And that's coming up in the next few videos.